we have our carburettor, which needs cleaning up. I've got some carb and intake cleaner. I've got the kit that I got from Reassembly with new gaskets, etc. in there. And I managed to find a printout of all the details on a carb, which is Weber type 26, which is what we have here. So I'll be using that as my guide. First thing we need to do is take the air inlet off, and it's nice on the 26, so you get this kind of aluminium air intake, which looks very nice. So these are 10s on here, so I'm just going to put these on and unscrew these. There we go. So we don't lose any of the parts. Just got a couple of trays, so put those nuts and bolts in, and here we should be able to prise this apart, wiggle it apart, hopefully. I need a little bit of help. So if we can get this in. Yeah, there we go. There is a gasket on top of here which will need replacing, so it's a little bit stuck down, so we'll have to clean that up a little bit. Really has caked on there. Okay, so oh, we got a gasket on the bottom there that looks like it wants to come off, so we'll take that off. Put the gaskets to one side a second. Need to clean up there a little bit, and as you can see in here we need to clean up as well. So there is 4 screws on top of here, so we're going to get our screwdriver and open these up. Now the Weber 26 is a downdraft carburettor, and that means that the Venturi effect operates kind of top to bottom, so the petrol comes in this side, comes in and gets sucked through and out into through this butterfly here, which is the accelerator. You can see that butterfly operating, and that is the thing that determines the kind of air fuel mixture running through. So we'll carry on for the moment, just unscrewing this. And when you're rebuilding an engine, you don't have to take the carburettor apart if it was working fine beforehand, but I was having a few small issues with this. I think in part it's because it had stood over winter, and sometimes you get the evaporated fuel in it sometimes builds up a little bit of crap in the carb, so I expect that's what's happened. So I'm not looking to replace necessarily all the jets and everything. All I'm doing is looking to make sure it's all nice and clean. Hopefully the jets are okay. We'll check them. Okay, so that's off. We should now be able to. There's another gasket on here, so I suspect that's a little bit squished as well. We can get something in here to help separate it. Is there any obvious kind of place to leverage? think it's moving slightly. Could be my imagination. There we go. There we go. It's lifting up away now. Hopefully no one's put any sealant or anything in here. Okay, the gasket's just having a little bit of a tough time coming away. Here we go. In here is looking actually not too bad, quite clean, although there's some detritus around these areas, so definitely going to be looking at how we clean that up. And then yeah, but first thing to do is try and remove this float. Float looks in okay condition, so it looks like we're going to have to push this needle through in order to release it. So here's the pin that we need to push out. It's a very small pin. Trying to find something that's small enough to push it through, and I've got myself a pair of circlip pliers because they've got a little kind of pointer on the end, and there we go. If I could just push it and it comes out, there we go. Take that out very gently, not wanting to damage anything. Put that in my tray just so I don't lose it, and there we can take our float off. So float goes on that way. Potentially do with a little bit of a clean up here, so but I don't want to damage the actual piece itself, so need to be careful with that. And now we can take our piece off here. That's not too bad, just needs a little bit of a clean, but that gasket came off quite nicely. It's quite thick, this gasket. Just want to look at the replacement. Yeah, similar. Okay. Right, put that to one side for a second. Just going to clean the bits that we have off up, just so we can move them out the way and get it clean together. So just going to take these over to parts washer to clean them up. So we have our parts cleaned up. In here is the needle that stops the fuel coming through. Pull that out. You'll see, hopefully it's got a little point on the end. Hopefully you can see that. Now the kit comes with a replacement part for this, so I will replace it. So we're going to undo, this is a 10 bolts there. It comes out. There is a washer there. I think it does have a washer on it. Let me have a look. Is this the right size? I think it comes with a copper one to replace it with. So let me just try and help this off a little bit. There we go. That washer can come off of there. Got a new one here. See, bit of a colour difference, but essentially the same thing. So this one is a proper Weber one, and this one looks quite generic. So now I need to decide whether I want to replace it or not. The head of this one's a little bit worn, so I think I am going to replace it. Get my new washer. That is the washer for that. So if I can get this thread started. Okay, yep, that's going in now. We're going to do this up. Compress that washer down. Put our new needle in. Then we want our gasket. So gasket goes on there. Put it on the other way up actually. Make it easier for ourselves. Oh, it is meant to go a certain way. Okay, it is this way because of the way it comes out and juts out here, so this is the correct way it needs to go. And we're going to lose that. Put our float back in here and try and push this pin back through. I haven't got that very straight. There we go. Better. And that appears to be seated now. Okay. Now, when it's closed and down, there is meant to be a gap. Oh, you can't see here of 7 centimeters. 7 millimeters, and when it is open, the gap between there and there, between the float and the casing, is meant to be 15 millimeters. So what I need to do is get myself a rule, and this should do the job, and want to judge when it's closed. I don't know whether you can see this. No, you can't. So when it's closed, it wants to be 7. Looks a bit more like 6. When it's open, it is 15. Okay, let's just recheck this. No, actually that's perfect. That's 7 and 15. So the float is where we want the float to be, which is great. So the gasket's on, new pins in. Put that to one side for a second while we come back to our carburettor. So in the top here we have this one here is our, let's just make sure it's tight, it is tight, okay, is our motion well and air bleed jet. So we're just going to take this out and inspect it and clean it. So hopefully, can you see through that? Let's put my hand behind it. There is actually light through it, so it does look as though it's okay. There is another piece in there that I think will come out as well. Yes, it does. So just looking in here for, just looking to see whether we've got holes clean in here, which we have. Okay, so those two came out of that hole. We'll just put them there for a second. We then got number 9 here, which is our choke jet. So the choke runs off the side here, and this is the jet for that. So again, we go in with our screwdriver, just undo that. And this is what that looks like, and again the holes look relatively clean. I'll give them a bit of a a clean up as well, but that looks like that's good. And then look to take this off the side here. So this is the choke. Shall I the choke? No, maybe it doesn't. I'm a bit worried it had a gasket there for a second, and I don't have a replacement gasket for this, so a little bit grimy, a little bit oil in there, so we're going to have to clean that up slightly. Okay, that's the copper washer. Anyway, this is the main jet holder then. Okay, so that's what that is, the main jet holder. Right, which means that I've put the wrong gasket in here. So I'm going to need to take this part again carefully, because I don't want to, I know it's set correctly, so I don't want to change setting. Put that back to one side again now. Okay, so before I do anything else, I'm just going to give these bits a bit of a clean up. This is now cleaned up, but I'm going to take this one out, which is the idle speed jet holder. There we go, that's free of stuff. And then all we left here is the this is the slow running adjustment screw, so we can take the in or out depending on how we want. This is the accelerator adjustment screw, and this is the accelerator piece here, so this operates that butterfly as we talked about earlier. So I'm not going to take those bits off. Just going to clean up these jets, and the way I'm going to do that, bit of carb cleaner on them, and then I'm going to blast compressed air through. Okay, so just off camera I've run compressed air all through this, all cleaned up now, ready to go back on. Okay, so it should be good to put this back together now. So I'm going to start with this. I'm just going to clean the screws actually. Didn't clean those. There's 1 and 2. Okay, it's nice and firm. Okay, now we have, let me just remind myself what this was. This was the main jet holder, and put a little copper gasket on there, and this should screw in on this side. Do that by hand first of all, and then just give it a little nip up with the ratchet. There we go. We then got the idle speed jet holder, which we can just put in and tighten up. Excellent, that's good. And then we've got yeah, this one's in here, and that was number 9, which is the choke jet. Again, we'll just tighten that up. There we go. And then finally we have the emulsion well and bleed jet, which goes in here. Just do that up. There we go. So everything's back in there. We have our gasket on here on our float, so we can lower this back down, making sure the gasket's in the right place. Do that slowly, gently. There we go. Now we can put our 4 screw head bolts back in. Go around and check those, make sure they're all seated now. Okay, that's good. And then the final thing should be, I believe it's this gasket. It would be this gasket if it fitted. This must be the gasket. Assume this is for the bottom. Yes, it is. Apologies. So that will go on there. Okay. So that gasket now fits on there, and I have to remember which way this goes round. Faces towards the choke. So this drops on nice and neatly. 2 washers, 2 bolts, and that is our carb, all nicely cleaned up, ready to go back on the engine.